My name is Aina. I live here in Madison with my daughter Femke, who is 8 years old now, one cat, and four chickens. I am a teacher, so I teach English as a second language, which most students are coming for here too. And I am also an artist. I sell my ceramic work online and through some stores, and I do that from home mostly. So I believe I've hosted for about 2 years, and I have hosted three students so far. One was here for a really brief period, and then two were here for a longer time. So I believe the second one was here for about half a year, and then the third one was here for, I want to say about 8 months, 8, 9 months. So pretty long time. My favorite thing about hosting is just getting to know another person from another culture, exchanging information about what it is like to live in the United States, and then learning from the students about their lives back home. I love learning about their families and some of the things they like to do. And so when students are staying with me, I always try to make them feel at home. I always ask a lot of questions about their family. And sometimes, I ask, are there any dishes that you really like from back home that we could make together? But I also try to show them what life is like here in the United States. So I like to share my experiences as an immigrant because I'm originally from the Netherlands, moved to the States 15 years ago. So I feel like I have a good perspective too about what it is like to move to the United States and kind of see things from a foreigner's perspective. I enjoy just that exchange, and also because it is just me and my daughter living here, I think it's really good for my daughter to have someone else staying with us for a while and just get to know different people, different cultures. I really enjoyed that. And to make students feel at home, the first thing I always do when students arrive, except, other than saying welcome, is just to tell them, feel at home. And then I give them my Wi Fi code and password. That's usually the most essential thing because then they can get in touch with their family and let everyone know they arrived safely and they are okay. So that's usually the very first thing I do. So, daily life at our house. Usually, I just tell the student that lives with us to make themselves at home. They can grab anything they like for food. I always ask about allergies. But usually, for me, the big meal together would be dinner. For breakfast, I enjoy having a morning chat over coffee. I'm not a real morning person so far. The students that have lived with me aren't real morning people. So we just kind of smile at each other and sip coffee. And then I let the students do whatever they'd like. Some have liked to pack some leftovers from dinner the night before to take to Wesley for lunch. But dinner, we usually have together. And for me, dinner is the most important one too, because we sit together and my daughter sits with us and we just have a chat about how the day went. Um, I just cook whatever I would cook normally. I don't really adjust my diet unless there are certain restrictions, of course. So I'll have some pasta, or I'll have, my daughter loves tater tots, and that's something that none of my students knew before, and they all love them too because they're kind of like French fries. And potatoes, whatever. Usually, what I found, but I've mostly hosted students from Latin America, is that they love rice. They eat a ton of rice. So whenever you make rice, they're very happy. And they love to eat chicken. We have chickens in the backyard, but we don't care. We like chicken too to eat. Um, a regular day, our past year was different because we had the pandemic, but I've heard they will go back to Wesley in person. Is the student, depending on the schedule, will get up, have some coffee, pack some lunch, and then they can take the bus from our house to Wesley. We have a bus stop really close by. our last student started feeling comfortable using the bicycle, and we live fairly close to downtown, and I have a spare bicycle for guests. So she used that a few times, but only like after 5 months. In the beginning, she was a little scared. And then, they just are at Wesley for quite a big part of the day, and they also have to do their homework. Um, I just have the agreement with my students that if they know they will not be home for dinner, they just let me know as soon as possible. And if that's like some days, if it's spontaneous, I think that should be possible. I'm pretty flexible that way. If I have too much dinner made, I just have more leftovers for the next day. But usually my students have been pretty good about just letting me know, oh, Friday, I'm meeting up with friends, and we're going to have dinner. And I found that usually when students want to have dinner with other people, it's usually Friday or Saturday, or in the weekend, they like to hang out. If students are first arriving, I think students will feel very tired and excited, and usually have had a long trip and a pretty long run up to their visit to the States. So I think when when you arrive as a student, you just of course, you want to make a good impression to your host and introduce yourself and say, thank you so much for hosting me. Some of my students brought a little gift for the host family, but it's definitely not required. I do not expect any gifts. But I understand as a host that you are tired, you had a long flight, you maybe just want to take a shower and let your family know you arrived. So I'm usually do whatever you need to do the first night you arrived, and we will talk in the morning, okay? When you get up, and we will have some coffee or tea and then get to know each other. So I think just don't stress too much about it. I think everyone expects you to be tired and just need to rest. That's how I feel after a long trip. Things to see in and around Madison. I just personally, I really love the parks in and around Madison. I think Wesley does a really good job of with showing students around Madison. I know you will visit the Capitol building, and I know you will have some picnics or dates at the park around town. So I think just experiencing Madison, walking around State Street where all the shops are, I think that's just a really great way to get to know Madison. And then I, as a host, I like to take the student a little bit further out. So, what I've done in the past, some students that like maybe being outside and going for walks, I've taken students to Devil's Lake Park to swim and hike. I have some friends who have a farm outside of Madison, about 40-minute drive. I have taken a student there because she was really interested in seeing the countryside. So I think as a host, those are extra things you can offer. I've also just taken a student to my daughter's ballet class and just experienced something like that, which is really fun. And, there will be some special events at my daughter's elementary school. I've taken a student to some of those, and she really enjoyed seeing a school in the States. So it can be really basic things that are very normal to me, but are really fun for a student from overseas to see. So I have a few reasons why I host students, but one big reason is that when I was just finishing up college, I went to do volunteer work abroad, and I went to Bolivia, and I stayed with a host family there for 10 months. And it was a very good experience for me. I was very appreciative of especially the host mother. She was a single mother, just like me, with two children. And I just learned so much from staying with that family. And also, it helped my language so much, especially the daughter who was 11 at the time. She just would not leave me alone, but it was very good for my Spanish learning. And so that was a very good experience for me. And the host was just so great. I'm still in touch with her after all these years. And so ever since I felt that I would enjoy doing something like that, almost kind of like a thank you, although I cannot host my host mom, but I've been wanting to do that for students in return. And that's one big reason for me to host students. And then the other part, like I said, is I moved to the States myself from another country. So I feel like I want to make other people from other countries feel welcome here, and teach them what it's like to be here in the United States, share my experiences with them.